Yes, guys. Welcome back to another stream, man. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. Make sure you guys smash the like. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well. A lot to discuss. Are Manchester City's transfers about to begin? A lot of rumours coming out over the last 24 hours about a couple of our players. Gareth Southgate is horrendous. I might speak on him a little bit later on. I might not do. I am on with Side tonight, actually, so I might save it for them. But yeah, hopefully you guys are all doing well. Make sure you guys smash a like, subscribe to the channel as well. Let's see who we've got in the building, man. We've got Jens, we've got Quinton, Robert McCluskey. We've got to finish his story. Natchalina's Karl, Dylan, Leroy Sane, KDB, Benji, Chris Kirk. Beyond belief, watching the Pizza Man. Big up to Chick. Who else we got in here? AK's in the building. Dash is in the building. Stan Martin, Elder, Tommy. And there's a lot more people as well, but for some reason my chat's moving a bit mad. There we go. Lee's here, Mad Dog. Marcus is here. Beyond the Cosmos. Sean Fogarty, Silvio, Leoxicon. Hopefully you guys are all doing well, man. Make sure you guys smash a like on the stream if you've not done so already. Pat, how you doing, mate? You good?
LB, good, thanks, mate. Yeah, hope everybody's good out there. All doing well.
It's actually hot, bro.
Is it? Well, it's actually cold here, so it's just parallel universes right now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, guys, I want to do this as a sort of like transfer stream because in fact, we've actually just got some minutes actually in the last 5 minutes. Check this news out, bro. Last 5 minutes, this has literally just come out, so it's good timing for us. This is coming from Mundo Deportivo. Bayern set a price and opens the door for Joshua Kimmich. According to Bild, the Bavarian club has set a price between 30 and 40 million euros. He's on the Barcelona target list, but he has a very high salary that makes the signing difficult. Now, we have actually heard over the last week or so that Bayern Munich are prepared to let Joshua Kimmich go. And it's quite interesting because I always thought the fee would be around 40 to 50 million. But looks like you might actually be able to get him between 30 and 40 million quid, which, if I do that as GBP, at the lower end of 30 million euros, that's just 25 million pounds. At the top end of 40 million euros, you're looking at 33 million. That, to me, bro, is unreal value for money. Now, whether or not you think he's the right man is different, but like 33 mil for Joshua Kimmich, I think that's insane value, bro.
Hard to believe where football is these days. You know, it only seemed, a couple of seasons ago, a player of Kimmich's status, you would have been demanding 9 figures, basically, and probably a salary that would be probably 10 or 20% more than what he's on right now if you wanted to get him through the door at the Etihad. But look, amazing what can change in football over the spaces of a season or two, basically. But look, he's definitely on the list, and you can understand why, because he's just such a consummate professional. He's done it for so long at the top of the game in one of the biggest clubs in Europe. And I've always said, the whole, and I've said this, and I'm sure you said it on shows before, mate. That transition that he would have in a first season, no first season to bet under, because his whole football mentality started when he was a raw talent at Bayern. His first managerial experience was under Pep Guardiola. Mm-hmm. So the guy would hit the ground running. And look, I know people would probably want to lean more towards the long-term sort of, long-term sort of aspect for Bruno or longer-term aspects side of things. But this can be looked at plan A minus or plan B, depending on what your opinions are of what Joshua Kimmich are. But at the end of the day, it's like the reason why we always could talk up our squad so much, and the fact that we can make 14 or 15 men look like a squad of 20 or 25 is because of their versatility. And he fits that bracket absolutely to a T. You've got a stopgap there for right back. You've got a number 6 when you want to rest rotate Rodri. And then if you want to play Rodri and Pep doesn't fancy the double pivot, then he can play in a number 8 in a pinch when he needs to. The guy is just an absolute Swiss Army knife, except he's not from Switzerland. But he's everything. He's just about as much as you want in a player, and he fits the criteria of what we're looking for in the summer. And if it is sort of a shorter term, but more low cost effective sort of solution, maybe compared to Bruno, we'll just have to wait and see. The salary is a little bit of an albatross, but I'm sure clubs have been able to work through that, and we don't know the full extent of what his contract is. If City don't want to pay it, are Bayern willing to pay out the remainder, or we're willing to pay out the remainder? Who knows? But look, for me, I wouldn't say it's a rinse and repeat of Kovacic from last summer, but at the moment with those transfer fees, you're talking sort of similar in a way.
Yeah.
And again, just a lot more versatility than what Kovacic brings as well. But again, everybody would agree that 375k a week that he's on. I don't know how City's going to work around that, because given their wage structure, they don't just give that to someone willy-nilly unless you're sort of Erling Haaland level. Or
it also depends on how much he wants to move. You know what I mean? Like, I think City would put him on like 250k a week. I don't think they'd have any problems about putting him on that sort of money. There's quite a few players at our club on money in that sort of region. So, it depends on how much does he want the move and how much is he want the money. Like, if City say, well, we're signing you, but we're not giving you more than 250, so you'd have to accept a pay decrease, and he's not game for it, then we move on to the next one. And I think you're probably better off looking at someone like a Bruno, or maybe long term, someone like a João Neves, as risky as that might be in the immediate future, in the immediate season. I just think, like, Joshua Kimmich, mate, for 30 mil, I just think, and if this is Pep Guardiola's last season as well, like, do we not want to give him the best opportunity to win this season? And I think he's you mentioned it, like, he'd come in this year. I think for me, I don't really see too much of a transitional period there, because why would there be a transitional period? He's worked with Pep Guardiola before. He's worked in that system before. He's extremely experienced. He's 29 years old. There might be a little bit getting used to the league in the really early days, but I think that he'll come in and just get over the line. As you also said, super versatile. Can play right back, can play CDM, can play double pivot. And you can maybe let Rodri go. He can play double pivot, and he can go. Like, his G&A statistics are actually not that bad, to be honest with you. And I do think he could play slightly further forward if we needed him to. Not that that's obviously why he's signing him. But listen, at the end of the day, if City don't think Bruno's the guy, or are not willing to pay the 100 million quid, then we've got to move on. We can't be sitting here, until the 1st of September, waiting for Bruno and waiting to see if Newcastle lower the fee. Why would they lower the fee? Unless they need to sell him because of FFP, which, is not looking, likely at the moment. You know what I mean? I mean, according to the news, the Bruno release clause is now over. So if they was desperate to sell him, surely they would have lowered the release clause a little bit and said, look, we're willing to work. I just don't see Bruno happening. I don't see Newcastle really wanting to sell him. And Joshua Kimmich is right there. Now, I get it. Some people say, but LB is 29 years old. We need to go for someone younger. Listen, that's obviously the way that you're looking at it. And I don't necessarily disagree with that opinion, because, you do want to have players there for the future. But at the same time, we are in a unique situation where, in my opinion, the best manager of all time, this could be his last season. And do you really want him in his last season to have someone like a João Neves, who potentially, I'm not saying he would, but potentially wouldn't be at the level required to play for Manchester City, and we just kind of get found out, Rodri gets injured, and we're just screwed? Would you not rather give Pep Guardiola all the tools possible, and give him Kimmich to say, you go and win as much as you can next year, and then if Pep leaves at the end of that season, then we start to rebuild, then we bring some younger players in? Because I can tell you this, mate, when Pep Guardiola leaves, we're going to have a decline anyway. So for me, I don't think the right approach necessarily is to get someone like a João Neves who might not work initially in Pep's last season. I'd rather just go all out for it this year, win as much as we can, and then deal with the squad next year. And who knows, we might not even be in this Premier League next year if we get found guilty. So that's where I'm at, I think send Kimmich over João Neves. It's a cheap deal. Bring Savio in. And, you're looking at what? You're looking at like 60, 65 million pounds spend. Now, is that enough? I'd like a fullback, personally. I'd like us to go and sign Musiala, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, listen, I think Kimmich is just a fantastic deal, bro.
Yeah. Low cost, high reward. I can't see there being any real major problems with it. Again, just the finances with the wages may deter City a little bit in a way, but look, I can't see any harm in it. And if we do find out in the near future that this is going to be Pep's last season, then I'm sure, looking at Joshua Kimmich being the sort of player he is, I'm sure he'd love to be a part of Pep's final season because, you probably want to be able to perform in a way that says thank you because you made me the player I am today in a way. So, yeah, if you want to get down the sentimentality route, of course. But look,
listen, just quickly, Pat, I'd be more open to Neves than Kimmich if Pep signed a new deal.
Oh, 100%.
Then I'd be like, right, no worries, I'm good for it. But I just don't want to be in a situation where, like, we sign João Neves and Pep says he's leaving at the end of the year, and just João Neves just is not at the level required in this season, and we're just sat there saying, this season's just not going to work out well. I listen, we might sign João Neves, and I'm not saying that would definitely happen. I'm just saying I don't want to be in that position. That's why if Pep signs a deal, even if he signs a 1-year contract extension, I'm happy to go with Neves because he'll hopefully only need a year, and then his final year, Pep Guardiola, Neves hopefully will be good enough. That's just my view. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your preference is determined by like situation dictates basically, and simple. If we wake up tomorrow and we found out Pep, all of a sudden 2-year extension with an option of a third or something like, something similar to like his first extension when he was at the club, then you probably put João Neves up, way further up your list in terms of who should come into the club. But it depends on what you want. I mean, in an ideal situation for me, I'd love to see Kimmich come in for a couple of years, and then hopefully, if somebody hasn't activated that 120 million euro release clause in João Neves, hopefully, if it's under a new manager or whoever we are, maybe he is going to be our future long-term Rodri replacement or something. But you can look at Kimmich and say maybe he might be the gap between, between Rodri slightly getting older, and then sooner or later someone's going to have to come in and basically take the reins from Rodri as being the permanent number 6.
Yeah. No, I agree, bro. I agree. Listen, it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, we know now that Bayern Munich are open to selling Joshua Kimmich, and to be honest with you, it looks like they're open to selling him at like a pretty decent price. So it will be interesting to see if we do go for him. What do you make on Wharton? We've obviously been linked with Adam Wharton. The guy obviously is in the England camp. He's not played yet for us, but he's been at Palace 6 months, something like that. Done really well towards the end of the season. A lot of people are saying that like we maybe should look at him. He's the next Rodri. Mr. Dom Smith on CX says Man City have identified Palace Adam Wharton as long-term transfer target. City are not expecting to move for the 20-year-old this summer, but they view him as a potential summer signing as a part of a midfield succession planning. To me, that seems like he might be the next Rodri, but Rodri's not exactly old yet. Rodri's still got another 4 or 5 years, so I mean, it does say long-term transfer target, so I don't know. I just don't see this one happening personally.
Well, if you get down the track of Fernandinho, mate, you could even say another 6 or 7 years. So, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see. I think the next couple of years are crucial to Rodri's longevity. But look, Wharton, the thing for me is like I didn't get to see. It was a bit of a small sample size what we saw last season. And I think you and I can agree probably the most informed team for the last, say, 2 or 3 months of the season was probably Crystal Palace. And, while it is a small sample size, I don't think we should get a little bit too, jump the gun too much on Wharton. Sure, he shows a lot of potential, the guy. But I think the big question then will become is how will he improve the following season in that Palace squad too? Because the big question then for them becomes, are they going to be able to hold on to Eze? Because we know Elise's out the door now on his way to, I believe it's confirmed he's gone to Bayern now. Is that correct?
You what, bro?
Talking about Palace, like with what they're going to do next season, because I feel like if Elise's out the door and there's a bit of rumours about Eze, the question then becomes is I wonder what Wharton's performances are going to be like at Palace next season. Because, as I said, I don't want to jump the gun too much on him because we've only seen a small sample size of him from last season. If he can rinse and repeat and do the exact same thing this season, maybe even the following season, then I think he's definitely going to be on the radar as a future long-term Rodri replacement. I just think it's a little bit too soon to get hyped on him.
Yeah. No, I agree. Right, this is the news that I really wanted to speak about, bro. Dani Olmo, we've heard a lot. I know Craig's been mentioning him in the past as well. Obviously, currently at Leipzig. City bursts into the bid for Dani Olmo with force. The English team has accelerated negotiations and seeks to close his signing next week. It has a clause of 60 million euros that expires on July 15th. Yeah. What do you think about this one, bro? This is one that's we've been linked with him for a long time. It's obviously we've not got too long. What just 3 weeks we've effectively got. I just under 3 weeks to sign this guy on that release clause if we want him. Let me ask you a straight up question. And chat, this is a straight up question for you as well. Right? Straight up. So what straight answers from everyone. Is he good enough for Man City?
Well, if we want to base it purely on hype, I'm not too sure because, I mean, he has shown glimpses of being a quality, attacking midfielder at times, and then, he does seem to go off the radar for a little bit as well, and then, I think was it a World Cup or maybe a previous European, maybe it was Nations League or something. He was really, really good for Spain, but then he sort of went off the radar, and then just when you thought like, oh, nobody hears about him, then all of a sudden he starts picking it up for Leipzig. And then I believe he was injured for the best part of half a season for Leipzig last season anyway. So the other thing that I found a bit weird about Dani Olmo was everybody was hyping him as saying, well, if Lucas Paquetá's so-called betting allegations continue, which we know they have, then Dani Olmo was pretty much a shoo-in for City's plan B in terms of attacking midfield options. Now, since that's happened, we haven't heard a thing. And except for this quiet time of the season when all the Euros are on. So for me it's with Dani Olmo there is a bit of it may be a little bit of column inches about it, maybe some bit of rumours and a bit of hype going on. But for me, if there was really something about it, then for me it would be more along the lines of, well, you would have heard more about it if once the stories about Lucas Paquetá had actually basically become news. So I'm not too sure about it. It's a weird one. Because there was talk about it, and there was talk about it if Paquetá did end up getting, nicked for the gambling and all that. But then he did get nicked, and then we didn't hear anything until at this quiet time of the year. It's a bizarre one. It's a really bizarre one.
Yeah. Maybe we didn't hear too much though because there was a release clause, so there's not really too much negotiation going on. The release clause doesn't seem mad expensive; it's around 50 million quid.
I just think there's a release clause, it's usually the first thing that we're on to.
Yeah, the thing is for me about Olmo, is like I'd take him as a squad rotational player, but he's not replacing Kevin De Bruyne, mate, and he's not replacing Bernardo Silva. So if we're buying him to do any of those two things, L's in the chat. But if you're buying him as a backup player or a squad rotation player, I think that's a good signing as a squad rotational player, someone to build the squad up a little bit. Maybe we'll be buying him. Obviously, there's potential of up to 75 matches this season. Maybe we're looking at it like that. But if this is a Bernardo replacement or a Kevin De Bruyne replacement, then my God, I mean, what is that about? And by the way, like his injury record, it's not the best. It's not the worst, but it's not the best.
Yeah, he only played just over half a season across all competitions. It wasn't.
Check this. Last year, he missed 29 games of the season. The year before, he missed 20 games. The year before that, he missed 19 games.
Yeah, made of biscuits.
So, I mean, last year, he missed half the season last year. Like, the year before that, he's missing like a third of the season, pretty much. Like, that's not particularly great. And you're buying a player who's injury-prone. And for me, it's like, it's just not very inspirational for me. Like, depends, like I say, if you're buying him as a squad rotational player, I'd be open to the idea of it. But, I read the article and it says we're potentially signing him as a Bernardo Silva replacement. There was no news on where he's going. And I was like, there's no way that can happen, mate. No. Not for me.
No. If you're talking about a like-for-like replacement, that's a huge downgrade. With all due respect to Dani Olmo, there's a decent player, but that is a huge downgrade.
100%.
If they're talking about, trying to increase the squad because there is a potential of, 70-plus games next season, then, I'm all on board for that. But we don't know what's happening with the PSR, with the FFP and everything too. So for what it seems with the landscape of football in Europe right now, particularly in England, we don't know if we're in a position right now where we can actually bolster the squad, which I think would be ideal for everybody, or at least everybody's preference. But we just can't. We're in a position right now where you feel like one has to go out the door to bring another one in, and that's not how it should be, to be honest. But look, I know what you mean. It's like you're Dani Olmo in if it means bolstering our numbers. Absolutely, sounds great. But if he's like for somebody else, given the climate the way things are right now, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I agree. And listen, this is an interesting comment from Big Ups of B Man. It says Nunes was 60 million for a squad player last summer. Top clubs need a squad full of top players, not just a good 11. I agree. And that's why I'd be open to signing Dani Olmo if he was a squad rotational player. Nunes just doesn't fit the way we play football. Olmo can play our football. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, the guy's Spanish, you know what I mean? He'll be fine. He can come in and play the same style of football as us. That's why I'm saying, if we're signing Olmo as a squad player, I'm open to the idea of it. You know what I mean? Sign him, chilling. But if this is a guy that's going to be starting week in, week out, which is unlikely anyway because his injury record sucks, then that's when I'm like, nah. If you're getting rid of Bernardo Silva, one of the best players that we've had at this football club over the Pep era, you got to replace him with top-class quality. You know, it's the same with Kevin De Bruyne. The article said he's a potential KDB replacement. No, if you're replacing Kevin De Bruyne, you got to go and get Wirtz. You got to go and get Musiala. Dani Olmo to replace Kevin De Bruyne, mate. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're talking about, buying players that you're going to sort of build the team around for the next 10 years, then that's where you go and spend the big bucks. Mm-hmm. It might seem crazy these days in football that, squad players are going to be 50 or 60 million, but that's just the way the market is these days. You're just going to have to. And then sometimes you find those diamonds in the rough for, sub 30 million, sub 20 million and things like that. So, that's how it is these days. It's if you want to compete, you're going to have to pay the big dollars to build your sort of core around, and then anything else that you add onto that, obviously you're going to try and get it for the best, best amount possible. He's not someone you want to build around. He's someone who can come in a pinch and play good football when you need to at the right time and things like that. But he's not going to be the one who's going to be responsible for top goal contributions every season, or be the final clutch player that can score goals for you at the end in the last game of the season to win a cup or win a league or something like that.
Yeah, facts. Guys, make sure you drop a like on the stream if you've not done so already. Over 350 people tuned in. Let's get those likes up and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Big up to Sebastian as well for becoming a channel member earlier on. Big up to you, Seb. Appreciate the support. Link is in the description. If anyone else in the chat right now wants to get on the YouTube channel membership, there are a couple of other players that I wanted to discuss with you guys today. The first one is regarding Savio. Obviously, he's coming into Manchester City. Don't fully know what's going to happen. So this is what Sam Lee's been saying. City have agreed a deal with around 40 million quid. It's been sort of signed off, and that's going to happen. But what is going to happen with Savio? According to Sam Lee, Girona had been hopeful of keeping Brazilian international Savio for another season, but they're not expecting that to happen, probably because I don't think it's allowed, to be honest with you. However, that doesn't mean that he won't be part of Pep Guardiola's plans. Savio's next steps in the European game could yet involve another loan deal away from Manchester City, but not to Girona. It also says that it's going to basically be trialed out in America in the preseason game before a decision will be made. Obviously, we do have Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva that can also play on the right wing. Jeremy Doku can play there as well. He did actually come off the bench the other day and play right wing for Brazil.
Yeah, I watched that game yesterday against Costa Rica, and it was probably the most lively player on the pitch, whether they were starting or off the bench. But that was one of the first times I actually properly got to watch a bit of Savio, and I got to admit, mate, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of like a reverse Riyad Mahrez, like the way he sort of takes on his marker, tries to drag in extra players. But the way I say he's reverse is he doesn't cut in. He always tries to beat you at the byline and then cross, which is something we never saw Riyad Mahrez do. Now, that's something a little bit different, which I'd like to see. I'd just like to see a little bit more pace and watch our wide men sort of try and burn the defenders rather than try and cut in. Like cutting in, if you're good, is great to watch. But I think sometimes you can have too much of a good thing, and You know, we did say, I mean, used to say for years and years on end, mate, when I used to see you do watch-alongs, sometimes when Mahrez wasn't on his game, he was just way too predictable. And, you know, if Savio's willing to try and, you know, beat defenders at the byline and try and cut it, you know, cross the ball in, you know, I love the idea of him trying to cross balls into a leaping Erling Haaland. Then hey, I'm all for it, mate. I'm willing to give the kid a go, and you know that's the thing I'm actually most excited about going to this preseason in the States is I will be on Savio watch for the 3 matches that I'll be at. Like I'll be there with the binoculars and that watching Savio because I'd just like to see how Pep's going to utilize him. I know it's preseason; they'll be doing a lot of experimenting and dabbling around, and you know you got the academy players playing, but I think it'll be a good chance just to see what Savio can do, so what Savio can bring, because he'll want to impress Pep, and he'll definitely want to try and get his foot in the door for playing in the first squad.
Yeah, and you know what as well, Pat? There's no need to make a rush with Savio.
No,
I seen someone on a video recently comment and say like, "We need to decide now what we do with Savio." Why? No. Why do we need to decide right now what to do with Savio? Why the rush? Why is some people rushing about it?
If you're going to say the same thing about Savio, then say the same thing about Oscar Bob and Rico Lewis because they've all got age on their side.
Chill out, man. You know what I mean? Like, just send him to the States. Yeah, have the preseason, and then just decide. Like, make a decision. Then, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep him, or you want to loan him? You want to sell him? Like, do whatever you want to do. But you don't need to decide right now at this very moment before he's even kicked a ball with a blue shirt. What you need to do with him? It's ridiculous. Just give him the preseason. We've got 4 games this year, so sit here actually like listening and scheduling more matches, which is good. And we can give him plenty of time. We can see how he gets on. But the facts are, this guy's playing for Brazil already, right? I'm not being funny, but it's highly unlikely. I know Brazil are kind of ass at the moment, but it's still highly unlikely, in my view, that this guy's getting in the Brazil team, whether it's off the bench or not, but he's still getting in the squad, and he's going to be miles off the pace. He might not be quite at the level that we need right now, but he's not going to be far away. Otherwise, why is he in the Brazil squad?
Simple. Yeah, if you're going to get into the Brazil squad, mate, I think that says a lot about not just the player you are right now, but what they think of you for the future as well. So, you know, and I'm also really excited to see just what he's learnt from Michel under Girona at Girona, and just to see what experience he can take and how much Pep might be able to mold him to even more of a player, or even into even more of a more rounded player. Provided obviously it gives him the opportunity to play in the first squad. But I think I just think it's a no-brainer. It's worth giving him a try. Give him a try in the first squad because he was a huge part of. If you take Dobvik away from the Girona squad, he was a huge part of them getting to where they were in the Liga. You know, his contributions from playing out in the wing was exceptional. I can't remember. Wasn't it something like close to 20 goal contributions in the Liga season or something like that? Like
it was about 20.
It was close to 20, which is amazing for a winger. Like that's sort of like Pedro Neto numbers in the Premier League if he wasn't injured all the time. Yeah. So I think we've got ourselves a potential. I'm not going to say diamond in the rough, but just, you know, it'd be nice to see someone come through from the whole City Football Group, you know, who's dabbled around in a couple of the feeder clubs, you know, with Troyes, whatever they're called, and now Girona, and I think it's worth giving him a go. I just think there's way more reward than there is, as much as there is risk to it. And if it doesn't work out, then Girona will take him permanently. There'll be dozens of other clubs in Europe that'll take him on. And yeah, I just can't. The pros definitely outweigh the cons when it comes to Savio. 100%.
I agree. Okay, here's a bit of a weird one, bro. Don't know how good the source is, but it's been reported, so we'll discuss it. Manchester City have made a bid for Lazio goalkeeper Christos Mandas, which is now being rejected, according to reports from Italy. The 22-year-old who moved to the Stadio Olimpico last summer kept 5 clean sheets, conceded 6 goals in 9 Serie A appearances during the recent 2023-24 campaign. City made an opening offer of €2 million loan fee with an obligation to buy for €10 million, taking the full deal to €12 million. That has now been rejected, according to the Laziale in Italy. What's going on here, bro?
I don't know about this one.
This has to be fake news.
Yeah, look, if there's one thing I've learned, just because we may not do business with Napoli doesn't mean that any other Italian club is going to make it difficult. Is going to make it easy for us. They know what City's like. They know that when we're desperate for players, they will try and rinse us for as much money as we can. I don't know too much about this. The only information I could possibly get is a mate of mine who lives over here is a Roma fan, and if I mention the word Lazio to him, he'll disconnect. He'll block me for about 6 months. So I can't really, I don't really know too much about the guy. I thought, it made more sense to me if we were going to look at anybody, it was going to be Magnan from AC Milan, and I also saw some news about that fellow who plays for Werder Bremen as well. If the chat can run his name up, I've checked it before, but I've bloody forgotten it. He was meant to be probably one of the closest like for like sort of sweeper keepers that you'll possibly could look for if you're looking for an Edison replacement. So that would be sort of like my two preferences, if anything. So, news like that, you just got to take it with a pinch of salt. And as I said, mate, the experience just with dealing with Napoli and a couple of other Italian clubs where they'll try to rinse us for everything we can, and then if we want to sell a player, they'll want to take them for pennies on the dollar. So, just take that with a pinch of salt, column inches, and we move on.
Yeah, same here. All right, final one. Should be quick. Calvin Phillips. Apparently, Roma wants to sign him. Apparently, he said he's going to be coming back for training at Manchester City early, which is, good. I think he needs to try and get himself in shape. Jack Grealish, incidentally, has also said the same thing. He said he's going to be joining Manchester City pre-season earlier than the club have asked him to. It's a big season. I mean, Phillips is obviously going to be loaned out, right? No one's going to buy him. But like for Grealish in particular, I think it's a huge, huge season for Jack Grealish, bro. Personally, I'm looking at him thinking last year was a bad year for him on a personal note. Struggled to get into the team, struggled for fitness, personal issues, not selected for England. Probably one of the worst seasons ever had from a personal point of view. This is a huge season for Grealish. I'm looking at his Instagram. I'm seeing that he's training every day. He's going on mad runs in the heat and that, trying to get himself fit. Does he do that every year? Potentially. This is a big year for him, bro. I think if he has a bad year this year, Grealish, I think he'll be sold next summer. I really do.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you, mate, but I think that might be true. But look, I'm so happy to see Jack Grealish back with a bit between his teeth. And as humble as the man he is, we see it all the time with his post-match interviews, just how honest he is with his performances, and he'll know deep down that he'll want to put the 23-24 season in the rearview mirror and carry on. And I do feel bad for the guy. It was a case of taking one step forward and then two steps back just with injuries and, as you said, off the field sort of stuff happening as well. I also think a contributing factor to that as well was the completely needless comparison by people online of him with Jeremy Doku, where it's like, why are you trying to compare two players that have two completely different dynamics on how they play the game? And then second of all, why do you have to talk up a player by talking another one down? Like, that's not what you do when you support your club. You don't do that with players. And I thought that was very, very unfair and very, very harsh on Jack as well. But look, it is a crucial season, but he's going about it the right way so far by getting back into training early and that, and really focusing on himself and getting his game better, getting his game right. And let's just hope he can hit the ground running. If anybody, I don't know how many people out there are all about, like, we want more goals and assists from Jack, and he probably maybe would like to contribute a little bit more. I totally get that. I understand that. But let's not forget, too, that his best Premier League season ever was at Aston Villa about 4 years ago, and he scored 6 goals and assisted 12. He's not known. He's not, we joke about Jackie G&A, but he's never really been known as Jackie G&A. And it's completely different because he had the keys to the entire midfield when he was at Aston Villa, and these days he's not allowed to do that, because that's how Pep plays. So for me, I want him to return to form where he's going to be sort of similar to the way he played in the sort of latter half of the treble season, where he was just absolutely brilliant, the way he would drag defenders in. And
let me ask you a question, though. Do you think that some teams cottoned onto that last year and thought to ourselves, we don't really need to double up on Jack Grealish because he doesn't really do much when he's on that left-hand side in terms of like taking players on? In the treble year, he got doubled up on, which then allowed space for Gundogan or Kevin De Bruyne to operate or whoever was in that pocket. And they were the ones who cooked. And it was probably one of Gundogan's best seasons and KDB's as well. Last year, maybe when Grealish played, teams thought we won't double up on Grealish. We'll put one player on him and we'll double up in the middle and make it more difficult in the middle of the pitch. I mean, do you think that's potentially something that because I've heard a couple of people say that you know, he needed to develop, he needed to evolve last year, and he didn't really. What do you make of that? Do you think that's a bit of BS, or do you think there's some truth in it?
No, I think there's a bit of truth to it. But I mean, also too, just the stop-start that he had during the season with injuries as well too wasn't going to help him. Psychologically as well too. So, but yeah, look, I get why people say that because I saw bits of it myself too. It just wasn't the same. He just wasn't being able to drag defenders in the way he did 2 seasons, the season prior. So it remains to be seen whether he's able to bring that back to his game, that he's able to lure players in. We don't know what Pep has in store for him. Maybe he might be considering moving him into more midfield-based roles. And I mean, we saw glimpses of Jeremy Doku playing centrally, during the latter part of last season. So we don't really know what Pep's got in store for any players, really. So I'm just interested to see what Pep wants to do with him. If he's got something else planned for him. Otherwise, let's just hope it's a big improvement on what he did last year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I do think this is the biggest year he's got.
Here's an interesting question for you, Albert. I just had a thought about it. Uh-huh. We're talking about the second half of the treble season. We said he dragged defenders in and just Gundogan especially Gundogan, because we know how good his arrival into the box is, how he feasts. If we'd signed, think about it. Remember the 2021 season, the season where we came sort of out of COVID, when Gundogan was just banging in goals for fun in the league for us. Do you think, if we'd had Jack Grealish in that squad, like let's say he'd signed him a season earlier, he probably would have got. I think he would have got a ton of assists in that season, because the way he would have been able to drag defenders in and then create space for Gundogan to just pick up those loose balls and just put them away. I think it would have been one of those seasons where he would have been at his best, or would have actually suited his style of game perfectly.
Well. Yeah, maybe. I mean, we will never know. I mean, maybe.
No, of course, but I'll use that as an example because I think it comes down to, if he's got the right players around him, then he would be able to show a bit more. He'd have a bit more productivity in his style.
No, probably would, bro. But maybe you're right. I think this for me this year is a big one for him. He's got to perform. He's got to be fit. He's got to stay fit. He's got to perform when he's on the pitch. Because the thing is as well, I'm not being funny, mate. Doku has come on leaps and bounds. Leaps at the growth in Jeremy Doku, especially in the last sort of 3 months towards the end of the season. And now you've seen it a little bit at the Euros as well. Granted, he did make a big mistake for a recent Belgium game. He's come on leaps and bounds, and the guy's cooking. And I think that, again, if Doku can learn the hold-up play, just not always spamming take-ons, which he definitely did do towards the end of the season. If you remember at the start of the season, Doku was just taking players on every time. Whereas towards the end of the season, he was picking his moments a little bit wiser. Look what he did in the FA Cup final. He was on the pitch 40 minutes and he was our best player. I think that's going to make it a little bit more tricky for Grealish. So it's not a case of me sitting here saying, Grealish, he needs to have a better year, otherwise he'll be out the door. He needs to have a better year, otherwise he won't play, because Doku will play. And by the way, Savio traditionally plays off the left-hand side as well. That's another one coming into the fold. So listen, I hope...
But if you want to add to the mix, then Jeremy Doku naturally should be playing on the right. So
naturally he should, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. So, and then obviously you've got to throw Oscar Bob into there. So listen, for me, I hope he has a good year, because I do like him as a player, but there's no doubt about it. Last year was a poor year for him personally, so he needs to get back on it. Listen, he's doing all the right things at the moment. You know what I mean? From what I'm seeing him on his social media, the guy's working hard, he's training, he's keeping himself fit, he's really pushing himself. And he's got to use this England thing, being dropped from the England squad, as a kick on. He can't use it as a reason to moan and be down and be like, oh, fucking no, Southgate. He's got to use it as no, I've not been selected because I've not been good enough. Whether that's the right decision or not, it's irrelevant. He's got to believe that himself, to spur him on, to prove everyone, to prove to Southgate that it was wrong. He's got a cup next year, and everyone says we needed Grealish at the Euros. He should have took him. That's the only way to take it, bro. It's the only way to take it, man.
Can I just say something about the Euros, by the way, too? I was watching highlights from Sky Sports and that. Never, ever in my lifetime did I ever think I would see an Australian coach as a pundit in the Euros talking about the England squad, with Ange Postecoglou being on the panel.
Oh yeah.
Never, ever in my lifetime. And
I'd rather have Ange Postecoglou as the England manager than Southgate. Okay, now.
You know what? Like, in terms of like the Aussie-English rivalry, it's like, you know, I want to beat you guys in an egg and spoon race. You know, basically any type of sport, it doesn't matter. But I would happily see Ange Postecoglou manage the England squad, and if he won a trophy, God forbid, I actually probably would be one of the first people to actually stand there and applaud.
Yeah, I mean, fair
and can't help but see the irony in it, you know. So,
bro, it's crazy. We're so trash. It's unreal. Big up to MTFC says, is it just me or would Olmo be a boring signing? I trust the club. I'm sure it'd be a good if the news are true, but it's underwhelming considering what Paqueta and Eze. Goes back to what I said before, bro. About for me, if you're signing him as a squad player, you know what I mean, someone who could come off the bench, someone who can start when maybe a player's injured or whatever, I'm all over it. Yeah, no problem. If you're telling me he's going to be starting week in, week out, underwhelming, boring, facts.
So Paqueta's out of the question, and MCFC says Eze. Is Eze a huge upgrade for you? Because for me, it's a massive upgrade.
For who?
For City. And I mean, like, he'd be a massive upgrade in terms of bolstering the squad. But he would be nothing in terms of a downgrade if Bernardo Silva left.
Yeah, no, listen, Eze, I like Eze. I think Eze's a bit more exciting. I think he'd need a little bit more work than someone like an Olmo, but I think the ceiling is higher. I think he's a lot more of an exciting player.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what an upgrade, because I don't know who you'd be upgrading on. I don't think he'd be an upgrade on
because I think, like, if Bernardo's like the benchmark, like if he's A+, yeah, I think Eze is like, because of his experience in the Premier League, he'd be like an A- replacement. Dani Olmo for me would be like B- or C+. If you wanted to put in grade.
Eze, would that not be more of a KDB backup rather than a Bernardo backup / replacement, whatever? Because whenever I see him, he's usually in the middle of the park. But then I don't really watch a lot of Eze, to be honest with you. But like whenever I've seen him, it looks like the best work is in the middle, because he's got the whole tricks in it too. He can go on his left, he can go on his right, he can dart. I don't know if he'd be a little bit more restricted on that right hand side.
I don't know. I mean,
but the thing is with Eze and Olmo, actually, they're both versatile. They can both play across the front line. No doubt in my mind about that. Play in the middle, play on the left, play on the right. That's another reason why
Bernardo does. Yeah,
exactly. So that might be a reason why City are looking at these two players, because they're looking at Bernardo. They recognise that he might leave this year. He might leave next year, and if he don't leave next year, he'll definitely leave the year after that, because he'll leave on a free transfer. So they might be looking at someone to say, well, if he's going to leave, we need someone that can be versatile. And Eze and Olmo, to be fair, both fit that mold. The only thing that they probably both can't do, really, is playing deep, which you don't really, you know, Bernardo, we've seen Bernardo at times play as like a DM at times, isn't it, with Rodri. You don't really want Eze and Olmo doing that. But listen, that's rare. You don't really want them doing that anyway. But yeah, Eze and Olmo definitely fall into that bracket. We'll see, man. We'll see. But it looks like Olmo at the moment, man. Olmo has got a release clause as well, 50 million quid. So it's a City move, isn't it? Stinks of City.
Yep.
Definitely does.
And we like buying a player or two from Leipzig.
Yeah, I know. We definitely do.
Actually, speaking of which, we owe them a pre-season over there, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was part of the Gvardiol deal.
That's correct. That is correct. It'll be next year, I think, won't it?
Yeah. There'd be no
such a weird thing to put in a transfer, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being funny, mate. You know, you're not buying a player off Berrier or Oldham. You'll be bringing Leipzig, mate. We play in the Champions League every few years.
That's where you missed the trick. That's where you missed the trick, mate.
Yeah.
I prefer a pre-season. I prefer a pre-season and bury the Leipzig. Don't worry.
Oh no, 100%. I would as well. But I'm just saying. Well, the point I'm making is Leipzig are not this small club who are like, oh, please, can you come and give us a pre-season game so we can get some ticket revenue? Fucking hell, you Leipzig, bro. You're in Champions League most years. We play you most years. Anyway, Tinsay says, let's simplify things. Bruno and
attacking mid.
Oh, Yeah, I mean, listen, I like Bruno, but it's not happening. But we ain't signing Bruno, man. I don't see why if we're signing Bruno, why we ain't signed him already, mate? Why wouldn't we have signed him already? His release clause is now over. It's done. So why wouldn't we have signed him already if we were signing Bruno? Unless the release clause is still active. But everyone said it's not active now. Everyone said it ran out yesterday.
Yeah.
So
although you got to look at when it comes to these release clauses, if we think they're a little bit more than what, sorry about the sneeze. Well, I thought I was about to. The thing we talked about this time last year with Guardiola's release clause, where there was talk that City thought it was a little bit too much, or they didn't want to pay us that much because they valued him a little bit less. And I think the reason why we were able to get that deal over the line was because I believe the agreement was more along the lines of we'd pay a little bit less, but we'd pay bigger installments over a shorter span of time. Now, I wonder if maybe City are going to try and do the similar thing here with Newcastle, where they're going to say, yeah, well, look, this is the release clause. If you want to beat the queue to every other team in the league or in Europe to buy this player, then that's going to be it for the, until the new financial year, the football financial year starts on July 1st. That's the option there for you. But I think City are just going to hold it out because they probably know there's not many other teams that are going to be in for him. And maybe they might have a deal in place with Newcastle where it's like, we don't want to pay 100 million, but we'll give you 85 or 90, and you're going to you'll get those installments over 2 years instead of 100 million, maybe over 4 or something like that.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense to me because unless they need to sell him for financial purposes, which we're all being told, if they need to sell him, they need to sell him before the end of June. Why would they then sell him after June when that doesn't help them for profit and sustainability because it ends in June? That means they're just selling him because they want 85 million. They don't want 85 million unless they need it now. This is what I'm saying. Like, for me, unless you sign him before the end of June and you got, 5 days left, you ain't getting him. Because that means they are open to selling him. They are a team that's ambitious, that once we're getting back in the Champions League, that wants to win things. They're not going to do that by selling Bruno and their best players. It's like Isak. They're seeing that Chelsea linked with Isak. Unless Isak kicks off and said, I want to leave, they're not going to sell him because they don't want to sell the best players. They want to win. That's why I don't get this Bruno deal is weird, man. Weird. I don't know what's going on, bro.
It's hard to make sense of it, basically. But
this is why I just think we're going to get Kimmich, bro. I just think we're getting Kimmich.
But 12 months ago, we said the same thing about Guardiola. It wasn't making sense because we heard misleading stories, and then you were on bloody City Extra doing flight tracker with a bloody private jet that wasn't his. But look,
why are you saying fuck me for?
Because we're all in this together, mate. Now look,
brother. What's that? What's that, brother?
wouldn't be a show of me on without doing that, mate. But
I know.
Yeah, look, I don't know. We're not financial experts, so we don't really know the full story and exactly what's happening. But it's such a weird one, and but I mean, I in a way, I kind of feel I feel a little bit of sympathy to Newcastle because it's like, they're ready to invest big money on a big project, and then they're all handicapped by the stupid PSR regulations, and not allowed to spend your own money. And it's a shame that if they, it's a shame that for them to progress, they may have to sell some of the best players, because I know for a fact you've seen what they've done, the amount of time that Amanda Staveley and the PIF have spent around City, that they want to build a sort of project that's similar to what we do, because ours is world leading, quality academy, and we're still able to bring hundreds of millions of pounds in every season by selling off young prospects and players that have been developed by the best academy in the world. They want to do the same thing, but everything's hampered by that. And the only way, it just makes absolutely no sense at the moment, that the only way that they're able to sort of, compete financially is by saying, oh, well, we're going to have to send out best players out somewhere else. Like, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. I'm sure it's disappointing for them, and I think it's just disappointing with the way that football's kind of going at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree, bro. I agree. I think that was it on the transfers, to be honest with you. I don't think there was anything else that I've seen, unless anyone in the chat seen any transfer speculation that I've maybe missed. I don't think so. I think I've covered most of it, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think we're going to go for Kimmich. It's cheaper than Bruno. I think they want Bruno, but I don't think they're prepared to go to like 100 mil. and maybe what they are prepared to go for, Newcastle are not prepared to accept. And that's why I think we'll just end up with Kimmich. I think City will just look at Kimmich and say, listen, 35 million quid for Kimmich. I think they'll just do it, man. I just think they'll do it. And then I don't know what else we need, man. Because, like, listen, if no one else leaves, yeah, and Savio comes in and stays, would it be worth signing a fullback? Because, listen, if we can spend more than 80 million quid, mate. And if you sign Kimmich at 35, Savio 40, yeah, surely it might be the time to go and strike a deal and sign a fullback. Maybe Frimpong.
Frimpong seems like a sensible addition, but I don't know. The more it goes on, the more I feel like he's just going to lean into that maybe one more season with Xabi Alonso.
But they've said they need to sell someone. Yeah. The CEO came out and said we need to sell a player.
And they've just got out, what's his name, Alex Garcia, the midfielder from Girona as well too. We just signed him last week as well.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Crazy. Former City player, of course. Right. Okie dokie. We'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah, Frimpong. I don't know about Frimpong, man. Every time I watch him, he's a right winger, not a right back. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Man.
I just didn't have a chance to watch a lot of him last season, and then finally I sat down when I was in Belgium the other month watching the Europa League final, and I wouldn't say he was poor. It's just he just didn't get any service because he was up against that Gasperini lineup that just absolutely pressed him off the park.
Yeah,
and he just wasn't able. We just weren't able to see the quality player that had won them an invincible league season.
Yeah, facts. I agree. Right, people asking, I'm going to do the Georgia-Portugal game later on. Watch along if you guys want to join me for that one. And then, unfortunately, I do have to do a stream with Sai probably about 7 o'clock. I'm going to message him now to arrange the time in there. That'll be fun, as you all know. He's going to try and cook me, for being English when his team bottled it to go top of the table yesterday. And he's going to try and cook me. He's the most shameless person I think I've ever met, bro. You know that?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to use this as a tactic, but you can always say, Matt, I'll just bring Pat into the channel whose nation knocked you out of the World Cup. So,
oh, damn. Yeah.
Yeah, we beat him 1-0 to go into the round of 16 in Qatar.
They're third, apparently. And he's going to come on the stream and try and cook me, chat, yeah?
Oh, if you want to cook him, if you want me to cook him even more, I can just say he's Queen's Australian as well.
Bro, it's crazy. He's getting cooked, mate, tonight.
So
anyway,
he can have a go. He can have a go at you, like over in old Blighty. But I'm sorry, but the old colonists over here are giving them Danes the big one, aren't they?
Yeah. Also, see what you're talking about, bro. I ain't trying to run Kevin out of Manchester. I'm saying don't do it. Don't do it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. I'll be back at around 7 p.m. probably with Si. That'll likely be on the second channel, More LB. So, guys, make sure you subscribe to the second channel, More LB. And then we're back on here probably for the watch-along. But, yeah, listen, smash a like. Make sure you subscribe to Mancunian Way as well. Big up to Pat for coming on, jumping on there. And, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, smash a like. Leave your comment down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries, bro. Anytime, bro. Anytime.